Just want to let you lot know that if you're watching this clip on the Fozcast YouTube channel, the full episode is now available to watch exclusively on Spotify, and it's free. Come on.
So you wouldn't have been at Palace, would have been before your time with Gabor Karai, would you?
No.
Speroni.
I was Jules.
What a lovely man.
He's a lovely fella.
He's a cult hero, isn't he?
Yeah, cult hero, yeah. But again, to be fair to Jules, he's one of the more sane ones. He's quite practical and realistic, yeah. But some of them, just in general, they're just a different breed, aren't they?
Big kids, just big kids with a lot of energy.
I think we all were, though. Huh?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you are. Like even now, like what, you're 40, I'm 41. You're big kids. Are you still? You know, I've got a lot of energy. We haven't really
lived in the real world. Like, we're so lucky.
Yeah. Right, mate. Tell me about. By the way, this is fantastic. What a lovely man you are, Glenn. I want to talk about some individual players that you played with, some managers that you've played with. First of all, we've got a little list here, but who's the best player you've ever played with?
Well, I mentioned him earlier. I've got to say McAllister, because he's won the World Cup, like what he's gone on to do. But for all-out ability, it had to be Wilfried Zaha.
Yeah.
Without any doubt. I always stick by this. I always say, so Man United signed him. Fergie signed him in the January and loaned him back to us for the rest of the season. And then Fergie walked out the door at the end of the season. So he became Moyes' player. So his first time at Manchester United, he was under Moyes. I honestly believe if Fergie had 2 more years, Wilfried would have been a world star.
Really?
Yeah.
What was it about Wilfried? I've got my own opinion on Wilfried Zaha, and I'll tell you in a minute. But not as a person. I'm on about as a player. Yeah. What was he like when you got to see him up close and personal?
So this skinny little kid steps into the first team, like full of attitude, and you know what it's like when you're in. And we were quite an honest squad back then. And he's got the ball, he's doing his tricks and that, and like a few lads are like, he's doing my head in.
I'm going to kick him.
I'm going to smash him. I'm watching seasoned pros, yeah, and he's just drifting by them, and they're getting angrier and angrier, and then they get tight to him, they get hold of him, and bear in mind he's like 16, 17, he's like skin and bone, and he's holding them, and he's got that power, that sort of wiry strength. He just had everything. He just didn't have an understanding of the game. So, like, literally, he would come on our training field and he would try and take all 11 players on and then turn around and do it again, because that's what he did in goals. Which was like, it was beautiful, because you see so many kids now come in and they're so like radicalised by the academies and they've got no real personality a lot of the time. And I think all these academies that we've got, they're brilliant, don't get me wrong, but I do think that lads lose their personality a little bit and what made them what they were.
Overcoached. I always said this, like with like certain players, like their rawness is taken away. Yeah. It's like not overcoached, but do you know what I mean? Like as they get older, certain players, like I always thought, I know he had injuries, but Mike Owen was a little bit where he was devastating.
Off shoulders,
and then he started taking the touch and holding it up a bit more. And I know he had the injuries, but you see it, don't you, where players just lose that edge.
Yeah, I was once watching an academy game and the coach is screaming, "Don't put the ball at risk." And I'm just like, what can you do if you don't put the ball at risk? Like, how boring is that? It's always a backward pass. It's always a safe pass. Like, there's always got your risk factor to make something happen on the field. If you're not willing to take risks, and I think these academies can knock that sort of that excitement out of the kids sometimes. But going back to Wilf, he was just like, he was incredible when he came on, and I had to sit him down. He didn't understand was that if he created me opportunities and I missed them, it would still benefit him. Right, so I had to sit him down. I was like, listen, if somebody comes tight, you do your thing, right? But you'll do that 2-3 times and they will back off. They will not want to engage with you. So you need to learn to cross it. And I was like, if you find me 20 times, if you say you create me 75 opportunities this season, it doesn't matter how many score. And he's like, what? What do you mean it doesn't matter? I was like, it doesn't matter, because football people will see that you've got the ability to create 75 opportunities for a striker, and they'll believe they've got a better striker that can put 25% of those opportunities away. I said, so don't worry about what I'm doing. Don't worry about me fluffing chances or missing chances, whatever, and making you look bad. You just create for me, and it'll benefit you in the long run. And eventually he did that. That's
what my opinion of Wilfried Zaha is. We knew that whenever we played against Wilf, he would just religiously, just keep going. Just keep going. There's so many wingers in football that they will try and beat the man. They might they might not. They will try, and then they might not. And it would knock their confidence, and they would back off, and they would try and keep it simple and safe and not lose the ball, because they'd have a manager at the sideline, they'd have players on the pitch. Stop losing the ball, stop. He would, regardless, just keep going. Yeah. He would try and beat you. He would try and beat you. He would beat you eventually, and he would keep going. Whoever was playing on that left wing, oh God, it was disgusting for him. Honestly, it was, because they knew that day he would just keep going. There's no thought of stopping. There's no doubt in his brain, is there? No. He knows what he's good at, and I'm just going to keep going.
But you've got to have the understanding of the club to do that, and the manager to be allowed to do
the belief in that. Yeah.
Palace love that type of player. Obviously, they've got the boys now. Well, they did have, but they've just signed Ismail Assar, haven't they? Which, on his day, he's frightening.
You saw Ismail up close and personal, didn't you?
I did, yeah.
God, yeah.
On his day.
Right, let me just tell you a little bit about Ismail Assar. So, world beater on his day. Absolutely, one of the fastest players I've ever seen in my life. He is I don't know how to say this. He's very quiet. He's very withdrawn, and he just likes to play on a Saturday afternoon. Is that about right?
Yeah.
As long as you as long as you can get him in a good mood and a happy smile on his face on a Saturday afternoon, you've signed a world beater.
And how often is he in a good mood and a happy smiley face?
It depends.
You've got to help him be in that good mood.
That's what I mean. You've got to help him. You've got to fluff him around the edges a little bit. You do.
Like we were very much.
Can't say that. You can't say that. Do that again, because you're going to get.
I'm not. I don't care.
I'll fluff his
mailer. I'll fluff his mailer.
What we had, we had a really strong spine of a team, a really honest team, and then our flair was Wilfried and Yannick, and they could do as they wished, but we were willing to let them express themselves as long as they got back. That was our only caveat. You need to get back. And they learned from that, and they were like, sweet, like, if we can do what we want with the ball,
boom,
I'll get back, no problem at all. So we got them on board, and that's what you've got to do with
Yannick Bolasie. How good was Yannick Bolasie, by the way? Oh, how good was Yannick Bolasie?
He was so powerful.
Oh, I used to rip us so bad. Honestly, I remember, he used to do that thing where he used to chop somebody, and he'd almost put his arm on the floor. He'd put his hand on the floor because he had chopped so hard. He was phenomenal. He was so good up close and personal. Honestly,
it was good. So good. I enjoyed playing with them too. They made me look good.
Oh, Yannick, what a player! Chuck us some more players, Tom.
Thanks everybody for watching. We hope you enjoyed this clip of the Fozcast. If you would like to watch the full episode, it is now available exclusively on Spotify for free.